Hello, everybody. I'm Jay Hoppola from the AARP Minnesota State Office, and we're here to talk with you today about scams and identity theft. When we survey our members, commonly among the very top of their concerns and interests have to do with fraud and identity theft and how to protect themselves and their families from losing money to all of these scams that are out there. And that's why we run the AARP Fraud Watch Network that helps everyone avoid these scams, stay a step ahead of the con artists, and keep themselves and their loved ones safe. So what we'd like for you to do today is enter your own experiences, enter your stories about scams that you've seen and been targeted with here in the chat. And if you have any questions, you can enter those in the chat and we'll talk about those kind of issues. I'm joined today by Kathy. She's one of our fraud fighter volunteers, and we're going to talk about tips that you can use to stay a step ahead of the con artists. So Kathy, thanks for being here. Thanks for joining me. And please tell us, what does it mean to you to be a fraud fighter?
Well, it means to me to be learning about the ways that us ordinary citizens can inform and protect ourselves against what I like to think of as online highway robbery of our assets.
Yeah, that's right. It's like highway robbery on the information superhighway nowadays. And so thanks for being a part of our program. You're doing so much to help other people avoid these scams and stay safe. So I appreciate working with you, that's for sure. And you're here to talk about some tips that you've learned over the years and how you keep yourself and your family safe. So let's start with, please, the behaviors that you understand make people vulnerable to scams.
Well, first of all, I think computer technology has made us all too quick to react to these offers and threats and things that come at us in all different directions, over the internet, through the mail, over the phone. And we react like reflexing. And so the scammers are hoping we'll do that. They want to scare us. They want to have us give an emotional response. And some of the things were a threat, that you're going to be legally in trouble. But you can solve it by sending us money. And that's the key, or give us your personal information and we'll take care of it. So those are threats. Okay. And they can get you through the mail. I had a situation where my grandson called me up. He got a letter that supposedly was from the IRS, and it said, "You owe $300." And he said, "But Grandma, I already mailed that in." So we went to the bank, got a copy of the check, including the back, which had a routing number of who cashed it. And just by accident or coincidence, I had signed up for an AARP scam jam that was pre-COVID. We were down at Brooklyn Center. And so I took the letter, I took the check, and there was an IRS person there that I approached after the meeting. And I said, "Is this, what's going on here?" So they looked at the check and they said, "No, this is the IRS routing number and we've taken care of this. We've cashed your check and you're fine." But then they took the letter, and I can't remember now because this was a couple of years ago, but they could tell that was not a genuine IRS letter. So I was very thankful for AARP stepping in there to confirm my suspicions and save us all a lot of mental grief. Now, that's the second way they get you is appeal to your emotional human nature. I want to help. And again, it's the classic one. Your grandson is in jail, and there's always somehow they find out who it is that you care about. Now, what happened to me was I found out that my Yahoo email account was hacked because I started getting letters from these friends of mine saying, "You're not in England, are you? I mean, you don't need $1,000." And they said, "We're pretty sure it isn't you because the letter has terrible English. And you couldn't possibly have written this." However, that was a number of years ago, and the scammers now learn how to write very good English and very convincing English. So at any rate, that was the signal to me to change my account to Gmail, which I understood had better security, and I haven't had any problems since.
Okay, sure. Well, a couple of things you highlighted there through our AARP research, what we've come to understand is that people are much more susceptible to those kind of threats like you received with that IRS letter about owing taxes. So the scammers use a lot of threats that something bad is going to happen to you if you don't respond to the scam. And that works really well on a lot of people. And then the other item that you mentioned is that oftentimes the scam victims I meet are not trying to get rich quick, or they're not greedy people, but instead they're told that they have some money coming, a refund or a prize coming, and they just are so feeling so blessed. They want to help their family, they want to help their community, and that's what gets them wrapped up. So it really is a shame that the scammers are targeting so many well-meaning people, but that's just the way of the world right now. So Kathy, I know you have some other tips. Tell us, what can people do to avoid being victimized?
Well, I thought about the old saying, if you ever happen to catch on fire for whatever reason, you can do stop, drop, and roll. And that's kind of a safety procedure. Roll, put out the flames. So I thought, well, we could make a parallel here. What about stop, drop, and check? And just again pull back from that desire to do an emotional reaction, and be very skeptical. I mean, you hate to tell people to do this, but you have to, because there's so many people out there trying to take your money, your good name, and anything else they can get. So these con artists can remain untraceable, and that's another reason why we have to be skeptical.
Mm-hmm.
So skeptical means check with an outside resource. Don't click on the page. Look at that email address or that title, and there are books that'll tell you can tell the difference between a genuine IRS and somebody using the IRS. And I just cannot stress enough that you should talk to someone you trust about financial decisions. There are scammers who will start an innocent conversation and kind of get you in and be your friend. And next thing you know, they're asking for your bank account number. And they'll even coach victims on that. You don't need to tell anybody about this because you don't want to cause a lot of problems. So anyway, Jay, those are my experiences, and I'm happy to share them.
Yeah, well, thank you again. Thank you again. And that's a tip that we're always giving people through the Fraud Watch Network and all the work we do in the community to educate people about these scams and how to stay safe, is that whether it's our culture or whether it's our pride, for whatever reason, and because we're coached by the con artists, we don't talk about financial decisions, and we're so isolated in making these mistakes that if we would just talk to a trusted person, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends that you trust, but talk about financial decisions, and we'll all be a lot safer from these con artists. And if you want to talk with someone and get some advice, you can call our Fraud Watch Network helpline. It's a toll-free number. It's on your screen, 877-908-3360. And I'll bet a lot of you out there would like to be just like Kathy. You can be a fraud fighter too. And we'd love to have you join the team. So if you'd like to volunteer with us as a fraud fighter, you can join the team. So thanks for joining us for this program.